Hi everyone, how are you guys doing? I am super excited to have Sharet today from Undocumented Professionals join us today about how to invest while undocumented. And so I'm going to bring on Sharet and we're going to begin the session. Super excited to have all of you guys here. Sharet, if you could just request to join the live. And tell me where you guys are from. Everyone, welcome to the live. I know this was super over here while you guys are in silence. I'm over here partying it up with the música in the background. Hi, everyone. How are you guys? Where are you guys from? In the comments, I want to see where all of you guys are joining us from. Hola, hola, ¿cómo están? Super excited. Hey, New Jersey, living it up. Woo! Hey, from Cal. Okay, Watsonville. Okay. Hey, Sharet, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. How are you? ¿Cómo
Good,
estás?
good. Hey, NorCal, Arizona. Hey, California. I'm in California too, you guys. Weather's fucking hot today, ain't it? Hi, everyone. Tell us where you guys are from. Tell us where you guys are joining us from. So today, thank you so much for joining Sharet and I. My name is Maribel. I'm going to let Sharet introduce herself first, and then I'm going to go, and then, we'll ask for your guys' permission if we can jump into the topic for today, which is the 4 things that you need to know and do before you start investing while undocumented.
Yes, thank you so much, Maribel, for inviting me. I do see there's a lot sharing that are from New York, Florida, Vegas. Thank you so much for joining. We appreciate your time. Your time is very valuable to us. So we are excited to have you here, and hopefully you can get one. If not, just have this space available to share with us. So thank you so much for being here. Maribel, I just briefly just want to introduce myself, but I do want to go ahead and give the opportunity for you to introduce yourself as well. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself before I introduce myself?
I was going to let you go first. Como
Awesome.
quieras.
Well, okay, perfect. So my name is Sharet Garcia. I am a counselor. I am an educator. I'm also a mom. And I love talking about investing because this is so important. We just had a very difficult, we've just been having a difficult week, and I want to be mindful that this conversation, I think, is coming at a very good time. So I'm excited to be here. I'm also the founder of Undocumented Professionals Network, and I'm also very involved in trying to find better opportunities for the undocumented communities, because we know that we need more opportunities. We need to have these types of conversations in regards to talking about investments and things like that, especially for the undocumented, both DACA and non-DACA community.
Yes, thank you so much. And so for everyone who's new here, my name is Maribel. I am the founder of OurWealthMatters, where I focus on working with the immigrant community and getting them to invest in the stock market in order to grow our wealth. And so basically, I have been working for the past 10 years as a certified income tax preparer, predominantly with the immigrant community. And the last 5 years after I graduated college, I have been working in Hollywood's LA entertainment scene, handling multi-million-dollar budgets. So now I get to take all of that background and put it back to our comunidad to help us thrive financially and fully integrate into the United States system by leveraging those things in order to avoid taxes legally and increase our wealth just like the rich people do.
Nice. Awesome, Maribel. Thank you for that intro. So I do want to be mindful of everyone's time here so we can go
Yes.
ahead and dive into this great conversation that we have here for all of you. And please feel free to ask your questions in the chat. Also, feel free to contact us directly. You can contact Maribel directly. You can also go ahead and contact me directly. I'm also open to emails, to sending me a DM. The goal here is that you gain as much as possible from this information. And we know we're not going to have the time to answer everything. So please just be patient with us. We are hoping to have another of these types of conversations, but we'll be able to get your feedback so that way you can you can let us know what else you would like to get from these types of spaces and types of conversations regarding investing for the undocumented communities. So yeah, so let's go ahead and get started, Maribel.
Yeah, so just to let you guys know, this is going to be recorded. So this will be posted if you guys miss out on the end of the conversation. And let us know in the comments, do we have your permission to keep going? Yes, put it down in the comments. Do we have your permission? Are you guys ready to hear the first 4 steps on how to begin investing? Hasta que veo unos yeses, because I don't want to move you guys forward if you guys aren't ready yet. Yes, okay, we get the first yes. Awesome. All right, so let's move on. So, la primera cosa, and Sharet, I know that we were talking about this in the beginning, and we were just like, a lot of people aren't going to want to hear it, pero la primera cosa that someone has to do is figure out their why. Why are you investing? Why are you saving money? Porque no es todo de aguardar, aguardar, aguardar. For me, the way I view money is it's a tool to joy and to happiness. And I'm going to use it to help me get there, buy myself a vacation or do something like that. But we have to figure out why. Y la cosa importante de saber your why is because this is what's going to pull you through those stock market downturns and when the economy is going to shit, and to keep you from going like, okay, let me take all my money out. And then you don't let your money grow in the stock market. Because if you don't have a clear why that's pushing you forward and pushing you through all those hard times when you're like working, and igual como cuando uno viene y migra a Estados Unidos, you got to know your why. Porque si nomás uno viene and you hit those like that wall, that like the discrimination, the language barrier, the fuck, I didn't know it was going to cost that much to live here, rápido uno se quiere regresar and you're like, fuck this, I didn't sign up for this, right? Same thing cuando uno va a hacer un investment con su dinero. You got to figure out your why, because that's what's going to pull you through those hard times and through those economic downturns here in the United States if you're investing in the United States stock market. In Sharet, I know you also had something to include here, right? A lot of mindset goes into this.
Yeah, I do want to add, I know that because I'm a DACA recipient, I want to be mindful of that I do have a privilege because I have DACA, because I'm a DACA recipient, I get to have a social security number. But one of the
Mm-hmm.
reasons I started on Professionals, again, right, or why, is I
Mm-hmm.
started on Professionals because I started to think like, what would happen if DACA ends today? If I lose my job today, what will happen? What are my other
Mm-hmm.
ways that I can still invest? I can still bring money in to my household, and that was scary to think that I could lose DACA. And now with everything going on with DACA, as we all know, DACA is a temporary program. Even though I have this privilege, that privilege can be taken away from me and from everybody that is a DACA recipient. And suddenly we might lose our job, and that's scary. That, I think learning about your why is also acknowledging your feelings, acknowledging where you are, acknowledging and knowing the reality that we live in, which is, how can we bring some, in some way or somehow, some, even if it's just a tiny little bit more of stability in your life, because we know how being a DACA recipient, or of course being a non-DACA, even worse, right? Because you don't have those benefits that you have as a DACA recipient. Is really understanding your why, being honest with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because this is something that we're currently experiencing right now. Even if you're a DACA recipient with these benefits, you still want to know about your why when you start investing. So I just want to invite everyone here that has joined us to tell us a little bit more, to think more, dive a little bit deeper in why you, what is your why, like Maribel is inviting us to do. And that is very important to kind of help you to understand why you're investing.
Yes. So, do you want to move on to step number 2?
So yeah, maybe we can give some examples about our why before we go to step
Okay.
2. Yeah, I don't know what you think. You
Yeah.
want some examples, everyone? I don't know if you can share. Maybe if you want to share your whys, why you want to invest also, you can certainly, you're welcome to also share in the comments your why as well. And you don't have to go into detail. Only share what you feel comfortable sharing, please, as we continue.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
thank
can
you.
see my family in future. Yeah, that's a good one. Especially also for me, while you guys are sharing in the comments as well. So for me, is mi familia and to be financially stable. And at the end, like my big goal when I retire is to go and see the world. Because I feel like we live in a world with so many billions of people at the same exact time. We're all coexisting right now, like co-living in the same time. And so, I want to go and meet these people, meet their culture, and like understand them. And I feel like the best way to understand other people's point of view is to live the life that they live. So being able to travel y comer la comida and take part in the costumbres that they do, I feel like that's the ultimate of me being able to realize, what it means to be human in in the world, just living right now. So let me read out some of these. So
Yes.
family, helping with parents and retirement, generational wealth for any emergencies. Yep. Growing wealth for the future, maybe retirement. Yep. Retire and travel. Hey, igual que yo. And let me see. Okay, and I want to retire my parents and provide financial freedom for my own retirement. Yes, yes. All right. Are you guys ready for step number 2? Yes, drop it in the comments. Yes, are you guys ready for step number 2? So primero step to recap was figure out your why, which it seems like we all got a good amount of whys. And so just want to hear that you guys are ready for step number 2 so we can move on, or we can stay here and we can keep talking about our whys. Okay, yes. It looks like everybody's ready for step number 2. Okay, step number 2. Sharet, did you want to say this one or do you want me to say it and then we can expand?
Yeah, you can go ahead and I'll help you
Okay,
expand more. Yeah.
so step number 2 was so again, this is investing while undocumented. So get your ITIN. Los que tienen DACA, they get a social security number. Los que no califican para DACA, get an ITIN. This number is going to be super important because it's predominantly to do your taxes, yes, pero aquí en Estados Unidos, ITIN is worth so much more because it can help you empezar tu negocio, it can help you open a bank account, checking account, agarrar un carrito, una casa, apply for loans for those things. Pero también, and what this live is about, is you can also use that number to begin investing. Sharet, did you want to add a little bit more, or I can dive into some of the
Yes.
companies?
No, yeah, definitely. I do want to add because I know that the undocumented community is highly diverse, right? We do have a lot maybe that are
Yes.
DACA recipients. Just a very quick reminder, if you are a DACA recipient and you already have a social security number because you receive the benefits of being a DACA recipient, with those benefits comes a social security number and work authorization, or EAD. And what that means for DACA recipients is that you do not need an ITIN number. You will still keep that social security number that was granted to you. Whatever happens to DACA, that number, that social security number, is yours to have. And that is the reason why you also want to take care of that social security number, because you can build credit and you can invest using that social security number. Again, with whatever happens with DACA, that social security number is yours for life. And that is very important. However, if you do not have a social security number, you've never been granted a social security number, then yes, an ITIN number would be the next step for you to get.
Yes. And so some of the accounts, we're going to dive a little bit more. Well, no. Okay. So first, get an ITIN. I did see somebody say, how can you get credit cards with an ITIN? There is another IG live that I have done. So if you go through to my profile after this IG live, you can go through. And that is also posted on YouTube. If you guys are like, I don't want to see it on IG, on Instagram, because I know you can't like scrub very well. Anyway, so get an ITIN. You can do this, either go to an IRS office, you can go to your income tax preparer and ask for help for this. Lo que van a tener que hacer es llevar una identificación de ustedes vigente, so this could be your passport, and you have to know, the most important thing is you have to know the date that you came into the country. because without this, the form can't be sent to the IRS. The IRS will immediately reject your form. So if you're like, no sé what day I was even coming in the country, time to go down memory lane. It is super crucial to know that date, and you have to remember that date. And you know what? If you have somebody else help you with it, make a copy before you send your paperwork over to the IRS, because every time you renew it, you're going to have to put that same date over and over again. So es algo que se tiene que memorizar o saber or have a copy of. And again, I know like we work with clients to help them renew their ITINs, and they're like, I can't remember when I came in. It's like, I can't help you. Like, I did not live your life. I did not live your experience. I don't know. Like, si ustedes no saben cuándo entraron al país, yo menos. So we got to come up, and even if it's not like not the exact date, again, you just got to remember that date, have a copy of it on hand for the next time when you need to renew your ITIN.
Yes, that's a
So
great tip that you're providing, Maribel. The other thing that maybe that comes to mind from some of the questions that I get a lot from the undocumented community is coming more from our beautiful undocumented youth, the younger folks.
yes. Oh, looks like she froze a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna have her repeat that. I know a lot from my personal experience with the documented youth. I know it's super hard because your parents brought you and you're just kind of like, I don't know when the date was that we were brought in. So you got to go and you got to ask your parents and make sure that you have that information on hand. Porque igual, you need to have it for when you renew your ITIN until you eventually get an SSN. Oh, I know. Oh my gosh, no, they're hating. Okay, so she's going to come back and we're going to add her on again. And I definitely want to hear from her, you know, what was her take, especially with the undocumented youth. But let me know, do you guys have ITINs or do you guys have questions about the ITIN process so that we can wait for Sharet to come back and add her back onto the IG Live? Let me know in the comments. What are your guys' questions about ITINs in general? Have you guys already looked and made sure that que no tengan que renovar su ITIN already? Because I know that's coming up and sometimes that slips our mind, especially if you are a dependent or have been a dependent on your parents' taxes. That's something that we're like, oh shoot, yo ni siquiera sabía that it was expiring soon. So let me know what your guys' questions are. Today we're talking about investing while undocumented. And as we take this break, also remember to share this IG Live with anybody that you think could benefit from this conversation. So how often do you have to renew? So before you never had to renew the ITINs, now the IRS is having every year, it's like taking out of circulation like 3 or so numbers, but it's not necessarily taking them fully out of circulation. It's just kind of going like, hey, now it's time to renew. And anybody who doesn't renew or anybody's ITINs that weren't used in income taxes in like, let's say the past 3 years, they basically expire and now another person can get that ITIN. So this means that when you're investing, this is why it's super important that if you're going to start investing, especially with an ITIN, you want to have it renewed, because if two people come up to the same company going like, I have the same identifying number, this must be my money, they're then going to be like, y ahora pues quién? It's not their fault. We need to be on top of our stuff and renew our ITINs. I know that specifically for Fidelity, I did call them up and I was like, what if somebody does invest with an ITIN? What then? Then they said, well, whoever we have on our voice recognition system, so you got to set that up yourself. That's who we're going to give priority to, and that's who we're going to say like, okay, this money belongs to you, even though two people came with the same identifying number. Can high school students get ITINs? Yes. So you can, yes, you can. And I don't believe that there is an age limit on when you can get your ITIN. So yes, definitely go. You can either Google how to apply for an ITIN. There's about 4 options on the IRS website. One of them is you go in person. You can also go to an income tax preparer and get help filling out the form. You can fill out the form yourself. And I forget the 4th one is, but I definitely know that there is no online way that you can apply for ITIN yet, because they want to make sure that you are a real person. They want to keep fraud to the lowest levels, like with anything. So they want to make sure that you're a real person, that somebody like really saw you and turned in your paperwork. Okay. Hey, Sharet, welcome back. So you cut off at the part where you said, you know, my experience with undocumented youth, and we were talking about ITINs.
Yeah, just
and
very
remembering the
quick.
date.
Yeah, thank you so much for your patience. My phone got very hot. That's how the weather is right now in California.
Yes.
It's a little bit more warmer than usual. I mean, for the summer, I guess it is usually warmer, but that's what happened. My phone got hot and then it took me out. But I wanted to just share because I do have a lot of undocumented youth that usually come and ask, I'm gonna start investing, and I've never done this process before of getting an ITIN. One of
Hmm.
the things that has come up when I do work with the undocumented youth is to remind them to check in with their parents for an
Yes.
ITIN. Sometimes what happens is maybe your parent never gave you the ITIN because it was never needed from you, as when you weren't over 18 years old. But now that you're an adult, you definitely are gonna need that information. So before you try to get a new ITIN, make sure that you speak with your parent to let them know if maybe they already had issued an ITIN for you, because they probably have, if
Hmm.
they reported their taxes and they needed to report you as a dependent. So that's one of the things that I would recommend just to the undocumented youth that maybe starting to invest, just maybe just very soon, or you're thinking about investment. Please go ahead and just ask your parent if there is a ITIN that you already have.
Yes, I think that's a super important point, and thank you for pointing that out. I did want to answer something because I know you are more closer to the undocumented community in the sense of this question, and it says, "What if I have an ITIN and a social security number? Which one would be best to use?" I know my take on it. Sharet, what's your take?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. I think what's more important is, I don't know how, once you have a social security number, that social security number is yours, whether your status is a daca recipient, whether you're completely undocumented, it's fine. However, you got that social security number, as long as it's under your name and it's your name, and it came actually from the social security offices, then
Hmm.
that information is yours to keep, and you want to take care of that social security number. So really the ITIN, you don't really need the ITIN. You can just use the social security number. The other reason why maybe that happened is because maybe you first got an ITIN and maybe your status changed, maybe you became a daca recipient, and then that's why you have now a social security number. But basically, the social security number is like an ITIN, because
Hmm.
let's be reminded that ITINs, EINs, and social security numbers are basically ways to pay taxes in this country. So the three of those numbers are the ones that you can use for tax purposes, to report taxes, to pay taxes, and things like that. So that's the reason why we
Yes.
have those three different numbers. So you don't want to have two types of ways to pay taxes. You want to just have one, unless
Yeah.
you have a business. Then obviously, then that's another question for something for another day, because I don't want to confuse anybody. But that would be different if you have a business. Then that would be a different type of
Yeah.
questions that we need to address.
Yes, I do want to add very quickly because I know we're like we kind of flew through time and we still have step three and step four. If you guys have any questions, put them directly in the questions bubble so we can see them because these comments keep going up. But if you have an ITIN and then you got a social security number, you are supposed to write a letter to the IRS letting them know to merge those two so that you can finally get those benefits for social security that you weren't going to get as an ITIN holder. But this also means that your ITIN is going to be rescinded. O sea, they're going to be like, okay, the books on this ITIN are closed and everything goes to your social security number. Another really important one that I think is important to question that was asked is for folks who cross the border, this wouldn't be possible, correct? Actually, if you basically doesn't matter how you came in, if you don't have a social security number, you are eligible for an ITIN, and with an ITIN, you are eligible to start investing. So let's move on. Do we have your guys' permission to move on to step number 3 on how to begin investing while you're undocumented? And sorry for any of the questions I didn't get to answer, but just put them in the questions bubble and we'll try to get to them before the end of this IG live. So type yes in the comments. Yes, do we have your guys' permission to move on to step number 3? Or do you guys want to still be on step number 2? But let us know. Okay, C. Okay, so we got our first answer. Yes, yes, awesome. So step number 3 is you gotta have a bank account. I know that a lot of people still may keep their money under the colchón, but we gotta move out away from that a little and open a bank account. Why? Muchos venimos a este lugar for their better economic infrastructure. Part of that is the bank, so we have to start trusting those banks. And why do we need a bank account though, Maribel? I want to invest. Why do I need a bank account? That seems like completely, far out left field. La cosa is the bank is where you're going to put your money, and that's where all your transactions are going to come out of. This includes a transaction to make a contribution to your brokerage accounts or to your retirement accounts, which are also investing accounts, by the way. Sharet, did you want to add a little bit more?
Yeah, I know this question I do get a lot. I do get a lot in the community that say, I'm completely undocumented. I only have an ITIN. I don't know where to go ahead and start looking for a bank to start, opening whether it's a savings account, a checking account. And, I know that this is still something that comes up a lot in the undocumented community. Yes, depending on the state that you live, I do want to recognize that in some states it is easier to open up a checking account or a savings account with just an ITIN number. But one of the things that we are doing with Undocumented Professional, thanks to all of you, thanks to the community, we have been able to come up with a list of union banks all over the United States that have been recommended by the undocumented community, providing some of those banks that they are banking at. And I would highly recommend you check out that list. We have a list of, I think there's like around 20 to 30 bank institutions there that you can check out and see if that can help you. But I would start with union banks in your local area, like in your neighborhood, or ask someone that is undocumented that you know and that you feel comfortable with to ask if they have a recommendation on a bank that they use. That's really the best way, right? Recommending with each other. So hopefully that list helps you. I can share that list. I think I gave you the link, Maribel, for that list of union banks all
I
over the
don't
United
know,
States.
but I have looked through the post. Maybe once we're off this IG live, you can share that to your stories, the post, and or the link as well, and I can share it as well on my end. So yes, you can. So get a checking account, and so this can be in any national bank or any credit unions, as Sharet was saying. So these are both acceptable. Also online banks, but I also know there's, if you're already kind of meh about starting a bank account in a brick and mortar place, you know, virtual or online banks may be like the next step, and maybe you're not ready for that yet. So also just make sure that they accept ITN. So as Sharet said, you either ask somebody who's already been in el país a little longer, who already has a savings and a checking account, and start there, because you're going to need this bank account in order to make those monetary transactions and contribute money into those investing accounts. All right, so if you guys have any questions on this, make sure to put them in the question mark bubble. If you guys asked any questions before and we didn't get to answer them, put it in the bubble. We'll try to answer them at the end of this live. Do we have your guys' permission to go on to step 4, the final step that we're going to cover today on how to begin investing while undocumented? Put yes in the comments so we know that you guys are ready, or if we should stick around on step number 3 a little bit longer. Want to make sure you guys are ready. Put yes or C on the comments. Okay, we got the first yes. Yes, awesome. Okay, so the 4th and final step of how to begin investing while undocumented. So let's recap. Step number 1, you got to figure out your why. Step number 2 is you got to get an ITIN. And step number 3 is you got to get a bank account. So let's move on to step number 4, is you got to review your investing options. So once you find actually a brokerage company that will accept an ITIN, you pretty much have a lot of the same investing options as somebody with a social security number. This includes real estate and stocks. I've heard some people do crypto, but honestly, the way I teach more like the foundation is starting with stocks, because that is more regulated. We already know the laws around that. We already know how we're going to be taxed around that. And so we know that it's already available for people with ITIN. So on my platform, I focus on getting people to investing in the stock market because I already know there's already over about 100 years worth of returns that historical data that we can look at to see how that has performed in the past. And although the past is not a good indicator or a for sure indicator of how the stock market is going to do in the future, I personally choose to believe like, you know what, it's been doing this for the last 100 years. I'm a bank on that. But that's like my personal choice to do. And that's what I try to teach people, that overall in the last 100 years, the stock market has been going up, even though day to day it looks like a yo-yo going up. We're kind of going up, but like I see. Sharet, did you want to include
Yes.
something else on review your investing options?
Yes. Well, first, Maribel, thank you for sharing your personal, thoughts on this, because I think every investing journey is gonna look different for everyone.
Yes.
You focus, on stocks. I particularly right now focusing on property at this time because one, that's the only thing I can afford right now with my investment. With
Mm-hmm.
just my money that I'm investing. But as I continue saving and continue having my emergency plan, and then having the opportunity to, because, I have a goal of how much I want to be able to invest, then I think I will
Mm-hmm.
definitely be going to index fund for my first, investment. But there's so many ways to invest, and you're gonna be the one deciding why you're investing. That's what we talked about the first. That was the first number one, um, the reason why you want to start investing, right? But I do
Mm-hmm.
want to invite everyone to really look into why you want to invest, and now where you want to invest, and do research on it. Don't I know sometimes we have a friend, or we have someone that maybe is investing, and you feel like maybe that's something you want to do just because you know them. That's great, but also do your own research, because somebody might be like telling you to invest in a certain way, and that might not be for you. So you have to also
Mm-hmm.
invest. And it's also recommended overall to just invest in different places, not just invest in just
See.
one place, like your whole money, right? Because yeah, like we already, like it takes us so much, or our hard work to get that money. We don't want you to invest in something that is not gonna work for you. So that's something that I have learned, that even though I've been hearing about crypto so much, I honestly just probably have invested in that like just $1,000 on crypto, because
Mm-hmm.
that's just me just testing it, just kind of seeing if it's for me, and just to know the process of investing in crypto. But
Mm-hmm.
other than that, I was just kind of being curious about it, and I was not intending to invest long term in crypto. But again, that was my personal choice because of my why, because I just didn't feel like that was for me. And,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of look around, shop around. You're in control of where you want to invest.
Yeah, and full disclosure, I have about $200 in crypto as well between different types of cryptocurrencies. Again, also just because I was curious and I wanted to know the process because I feel like the best way to be able to help others invest is to kind of go through it yourself. But I am in no means on my platform at all pushing like crypto because I do not feel that I understand it enough to then explain it to somebody else. So for me, I focus mostly on the stock market because based on the companies that I invest with or through, the minimum amount that I need to contribute in order to get in, so like that barrier is actually really low. So for example, Fidelity is someone who will accept both social security numbers and ITINs, and they have some accounts that or some ticker symbols that actually require no minimums. So I know that I have shown a past client, because I do one-on-one coaching, I've shown a past client like how to just go through the transaction with 10 cents because my money had made some interest. And I was like, see, we can just do 10 cents here. And that's the beauty of fractional shares, which means you don't get a whole share. So like you don't get a whole one Amazon, you can get a fraction of that share. And now you can own 10 cents of whatever it is that you want to buy. And so know that that especially the different type of investments, whether you're doing stocks or real estate or crypto, can be affected, one, on the thing you're investing in, but also who you're investing through. So like the company that you're using as the middleman to get buy like those stocks or buy that real estate or buy that crypto. So the fees that you're charged are going to be a very big impact on how much your money can grow, because those fees are slowly chipping away at that money. But we consider that the growth should be big enough to cover that cost, but also bring you back some money to yourself. Para que tu dinero esté trabajando para ti instead of us having to work every single day in and day out for our money. All right. Sharet, anything else you wanted to add, or we have a couple questions? Do you have time?
No, yeah, let's go ahead and answer some questions. I think the last thing I'll share a little bit after we answer some questions at the end, just to kind of end like my final thoughts, because I did want to add a few things. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's start with the questions. Can you talk about a Roth RA? So I know Roth IRA. So this is ODXTTX. If you can, like, did you mean Roth IRA? So I'm going to go to the next question. Just submit another question and we'll go through. So can we open a Roth IRA for family members with an ITIN? Yes. So they would have to open it like under their own name, but yes, you can. And because this is a retirement account, it's not going to have as big of an effect on FAFSA if it's a retirement account versus if it's a personal brokerage account. Let me see. Can you apply to an EIN with an expired ITIN? So first of all, everybody, we gotta be on top of our stuff. You can't let your documents expire. So if they're expired, first renew all of that stuff. So renew your ITIN. If you're like, but I have an expired passport or an expired identification, renew that first so that you can renew your ITIN, so you can do an EIN. Everything has to be valid, because if we let our things expire, it's kind of like you weren't around, or you weren't paying, like, the way the government takes it is like you're either not in the country, you're not around in like life, and so you couldn't renew this. So anybody trying to use this is probably fraud. So that's why we have to keep our documents up to date to be like, todavía estoy aquí. I'm still here and I'm still living. Vivite, I forget the exact saying. Pero you guys get what? Yes. And I was like, where? So you're like, I'm still here, giving my numbers, have everything valid, everything from your license, if you can get one in the state that you're in, to your passport, to your identification number. So let's see. Oh, I guess all the new questions go on the top. Okay. Is it the last time you came to the United States? So it would be, when you're applying to the ITIN. So I would say, if, like Sharet mentioned before, if you have already been in the US and you were here with your parents already probably applied for one for you. So first check with them to see if they already have one. And then so you have to ask them if they remember what date they put on as your entry date. So if you've never gotten an ITIN, it's up to you what date you want to put. So I'm going to leave that to your discretion. And let's see. Updates. Okay, how do we apply to a credit card with ITIN? Okay, so I think I answered this one before. There is another IG Live, but basically some of the banks and or credit unions that do accept ITIN, sometimes they also offer credit cards. So you would want to check with them first. If you already have a bank account or some relationship with a credit union, ask them first if they have if they offer credit cards. And so they're probably your best bet to get started first, because they already know you. They're already like, yeah, this is my client.
Yeah, by the way, I think that's a great question, and maybe something that we can follow up on. Please let us know if you want to have another IG Live where we focus on creating or making credit with an ITIN or being undocumented. So that way we can see how maybe we can create another space like this to talk about that, because I do get that question a lot as well from others that, hey, how do I start building credit, or how do I get a credit card? But very big note, the goal here is not that you don't want to get in debt, right? We don't want you to just have the information of getting a credit hard to get in debt. We want you to have that information so you can use the tools as getting building good credit, so that way you can get the benefits of someone that has a good credit, such as investing and things like that.
Yep. And the last question that I have here, it says, I've been successfully trading derivatives for a couple years now. It's been a journey and a huge learning curve, and this is paying off in the volatile market, but these short-term capital gain taxes are no joke. Can you give us some tips on lowering that tax? Okay, so first thing is if you invest in, I believe it's your retirement accounts, if you like trade in and trade out, you're not going to get taxed on that because it's still in the retirement account. But most importantly is, and what I teach is long-term investing, because those tax brackets are more favorable than the short-term tax brackets. And short-term is anything less than a year. And when you go to pay taxes on those gains, it's charged at your own tax bracket. So si tú gana, wherever you're, it's kind of like W-2 income. But if you do long-term taxes, so that means you keep it for over a year, those can reduce down to like 10%, I think even 5% maybe. I haven't looked at the brackets in a minute, but just do a Google search on short-term tax brackets versus long-term tax brackets. And so you can see the difference definitely of how much you would be paying on taxes on the same amount of money if you just kept it a little longer. Now, I understand that the investing strategy here may not allow itself for that, pero that's where you kind of got to make that choice. Do I want to get those quick wins, pero casi todo se me va en impuestos, or am I willing to let it sit there for a longer time, get those long-term investment gains, pero también pagar menos impuestos? It's up to you. It's, again, goes back to your why. All right, so I don't see any more questions added in the question bubble. So if you guys have any,
Sorry, I just wanted to say we're already getting a lot of feedback of other opportunities to talk about maybe financial 101 I see, and also I do see, yes, I would love other workshops for non-DACA folks on how to build credit and then be able to rent an apartment, house, etc. I think that's a great, those are great suggestions, and we are definitely gonna take those into account so that way we can come and maybe create another IG live like this one, which is very brief info, but hopefully it helped you in some way or another this short period of time of just some sharing space with us. So thank you, everyone.
Yes, and so if you could screenshot those for me, I'm trying to screenshot, but oh, there we go. I can't get all of them. So if you see some, just screenshot and send them over. And yeah, we can work on doing other different workshops, because we definitely want to get you guys, get your money working for you, because that's the whole point. It's like we don't just come to this country to work day in and day out. That's not how we're going to build long-term wealth or enough wealth to be able to retire here or whatever your plans are. Again, that's your why. The next step is to actually put our money to work just as hard as we do. So, Sharet, do you want to give there? Did you want to give the closing remarks?
Yeah, no, I just really wanted to just share that I know that with everything going on, we always have to think. I know we feel like we're very limited, and it is in a lot of cases we are very limited when you don't have a social security number, when you don't have work authorization, when you don't have citizenship status in this country. I know that there are a lot of limitations, and but with that said, I also want to acknowledge how much abundance there is in our community, how we're still able to create businesses, be able to invest, which is what we're talking about right now. And that's because we have a life here, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
we are continuing to be here, whatever happens to DACA, whatever happens, you know, with politics right now, we have a life here, and you have the power to invest if that's something that you have the opportunity to do so. Whether you have the opportunity to invest now or in a few years from now, just know that that opportunity is there for you, and it's different for everyone. Please do not compare yourself with someone else, because of course we're undocumented and things do look different for us. And also, just get as much information as possible by attending these types of conversations and spaces, but many more spaces available that I see being created already, which gives me, honestly, for me, that's a joy to see that so many of us are now coming and sharing our knowledge and skills, because we do have that. We do have knowledge and skills in our communities, and we want to be able to provide those resources to you so you can also learn. And if it took me 3 years, 4 years, even more years to know about investment, I want you to take 1 hour of your time rather than the 4 years that it took me. So we're here sharing knowledge, sharing space, so hopefully it can help you in any kind of way. So that's what I wanted to share as a closing. So we invite you to more of these spaces and to other spaces that you want to be involved in and joining us. So thank you again, everyone, for your valuable time that you have provided to us, and hopefully this helped you in any kind of way.
Yes, and Sharet, can you share a little bit about where people can find you and what services you offer through Undocu Professionals?
Yeah, definitely. You can find me at undocuprofessionals. Uh, .net. You can go ahead and go to our website and check out some of the stuff that we have available there, some of our offerings. We also have an online community for those that don't feel comfortable coming on social media as much or don't want to share on social media. We do have a private, just for undocumented DACA mixed status community, a online community that you can join. There is a fee to join, which is $10 for a full year, which is less than $1 per month. And the reason we have a fee is to maintain the online community, and because we're creating opportunities for the undocumented community by providing professional development opportunities, etc. And also, you can send me a DM on Instagram, on Facebook, or LinkedIn. You can find me there as well. So there's many ways. Just reach out, and I promise you that I will do my best to answer your question. If I have the answer, if not, I'll reroute it to someone that has the answer.
Yes, thank you so much, Sharet. And so for me, you guys can find me here on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok under the handles OurWealthMatters. También tengo un Facebook and a YouTube where I do repost some of these lives, so you guys can go through it más with a fine-tuned comb if you guys want to go backward, forward with some captions. And I also offer right now is my one-on-one coaching service for 1 hour, and that's where we go through the questions that you submit. So these are questions that 100 and information that I'm going to provide that 100% applies to you. And again, I'm not a certified financial planner or financial advisor. This is all from my background in like being a professional in finance in the corporate world, and also my firsthand experience being a daughter of immigrants. And so I lived through the experience that when my dad was deported, me and my mom ended up homeless because, we ran through all those savings. So for me, it's more about like I lived through that, and I want to help the immigrant community thrive here in the United States and fully integrate into the U.S. financial system, porque no se trata de solo trabajar. It also means that we have to make our money work for us and our goals and what we want to accomplish, which is why we started with our why. And so thank you everyone who submitted questions, who joined us on the live, who shared the live. If there was any questions that we didn't get to, feel free to DM Sharet or I. Feel free to follow me and DM me your questions, and we can talk through it more. And also, if you're like, hey, I already got questions, feel free to go and book a one-on-one coaching session. The link is in my bio, or you can go to Our Wealth Matters and find me through there.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone who joined us.
Thank you, Maribel, for your time and for sharing space with me today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sharet, igualmente, por tenerme here and sharing this time with me and with all the comunidad. And thank you, everyone who joined us. And have a great day, everyone.